This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, with a gorgeous Toronto background behind me, because that's where I wish I was. And I was last week for Frightmare in the Falls, wearing my Frightmare in the Falls beanie
All
for the
right.
occasion today. Absolutely. It is November 7th, 2023. I want to wish a special happy birthday to Friday the 13th, Part 3's Tracy Savage, who I had on the show here 4 times, and one of the most beautiful women I've ever had on the show. So a special birthday shout out to her. But folks, I just got back from Frightmare in the Falls, and I'm interviewing a stunt person. Here's my stunt double. This is Skittles. Skittles is my stunt double.
That,
Yes.
do you got insurance for Skittles?
Skittles, do we have insurance?
That's important.
Skittles, do you have insurance? Skittles
May
says he's
have,
too lazy to do stunts. I end up having to do my own stunts because Skittles just can't wake up in time.
all right, Skittles may have to go back to the dressing room.
Skittles, you going back to the dressing room? You have a kitty? You have a kitty
Nah,
cat?
nah,
No?
nah, no pets here, no pets.
Go pet. Well,
No,
folks, I have an awesome stunt person on the show with me today by the name of Roy T. Anderson. How do you do, Roy?
I'm good. I'm good. Honored to be on your show, Greg. Honored. I mean, I was looking forward to this conversation for quite a little while.
You know what? I'm looking forward to having you on here as well. And of course, we met at Frightmare in the Falls. What an interesting surprise encounter that was, not just for me, but for Lisa Langlois. And of course, I'm wearing my
All
Lisa.
right. Homage, homage.
There you go. Lisa
Yes,
t-shirt.
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. And I got a couple of movies here with I've got more of them, but I got a couple of them dug out here that I could showcase. Of course, Class of 1984, which we're going to be talking about. I got The Other Guys here as well.
All right, all right.
I saw,
That was
which
that was fun. That was fun.
oh, we'll talk about that. I saw that in the
All right,
theater.
all right.
um, yeah, we gotta get into a little bit of background here because like I lived here in unknown New Brunswick, as I like to call it now, for all my life. And 2017, uh, Lisa had just moved back from Los Angeles to Toronto,
Hmm.
and we had the conversation about travel, and she asked what was stopping me, and so she made the $1 million proposition for me. She said uh, she offered me the opportunity to assist her at Horrorama in Toronto.
Nice.
I couldn't say no to that. And I was nervous about it because I'd never traveled before.
Hmm.
And but I did it, and my nerves about possibility of flying, which I did, soon went
Right.
away because it felt like a
Excellent.
bus. Well, it felt like a bus in the sky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Once you're in the skies, you just you're along for the ride.
yeah, I really dug it, and I've gone every year except for 2020, which we won't get into that.
The year
But
that wasn't.
yeah, the year that wasn't. I did 30 interviews at the station that year, and then we went into lockdown. I had about another 30 people waiting to come on, and I was
Wow.
so Nancy McLaughlin from Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, was the one that connected me with Zoom. And
Oh, nice.
yeah, and
What a
now I
nice
can,
little toy, right?
yeah, and not only do I love it, but this is so much more convenient,
Yes.
so
Yes.
much more convenient. But
Yes.
nonetheless, I did Frightmare in the Falls with Lisa last just this last week, and
Hmm.
the third Frightmare in the Falls I've attended, and Lisa has helped me a lot in improving my brand. You know, I got business cards done up. I got what have you, she's taught me a lot. Actually, I got my passport done up last year when I met her in Toronto, and she wants to do Chiller next year. So
And
I
tell me
think
about Chiller. What's that?
um Chiller, I guess it's a horror film convention.
Right. And is that in my neck of the woods?
I think it's in New Jersey, yeah.
All right. All right. All right. Bring it on home.
You got to show up to that.
Well, you got a date. As
There
long
you
as I'm
go.
alive, I'll be there.
There you go. So I'm a little nervous about going to the States, but I'm gonna do it. I'll go with Lisa to that, and make my first appearance at an American con. Why not, you know?
Oh my God. That seems like it's gonna be pretty interesting, man.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid
Well,
to come over here. Don't be afraid.
I hear stories about the airports doing strip searches and stuff like that, and I don't mind complying. It's just humiliation is where I draw the line.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff is just overboard in terms of what people are saying. So that's what
Hmm.
I'm telling you. Just come on over. I mean, it's going to be easier than you thought.
Oh, okay.
Trust me. Trust me.
All right. Well, it was fun meeting you and having you got to meet Sean Clark, which was interesting. I hope that he was able to complete his horror hologram for himself. Have you been familiar with Sean before?
No, first time I met him, he's quite an interesting individual, to say the least.
He had 7 clients there. He
Wow.
told me. Yep. I've
Wow.
had him on the show twice, and I came aware of him by another stunt guy who is no longer with us, Ted White, of Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. He was 96 when he passed away, but
Wow.
but
Ted,
um,
rest in peace. Rest in peace, Ted.
oh, Ted was great. That his stories,
Hmm.
doubling for John Wayne, Clark Gable, Lee Marvin, Rock Hudson. Like he had stories.
Greg, I'm
And
telling you, old timers got some amazing stories, man. I'm telling you.
yeah,
I'm
he
telling
did. And he was the best to wear that hockey mask, I'll tell you that, because
you.
he really came off. He didn't come off as parody. He came off as scary, you know?
Right?
Yeah. But it was nice to talk to somebody else from class of 1984. I love this movie. I would have been 10 years old when that came out in 1982. And my uncle used to have a video store, and I saw this at my not that uncle's place, but an
Hmm.
uncle's place, you know. And
Okay.
I and I
Okay.
rem I remember the scene it was at
Uh-huh.
when I first saw it was where they were cornering Perry King in the hallway and the "We are the future"
Yes.
comment, and that was just before the big climax. And
Yes. Yes.
yep, but Lisa's been on here a couple times. I've had Stefan Armgrim as he's been on here 4 or 5 times, and
That guy was scary in the film. He was pretty scary. Well, the
Stefan.
whole gang was scary. The whole
I
gang, you
thought
know.
Stefan was funny because he was such a wuss.
Yeah.
But I really like Stefan. He's a musician as well.
Right.
Um, yeah, I've had Mary Lynn Ross, who was Mrs. Norris, on here a couple times,
Yes.
and
Yes.
she's a delight. Um,
Yes.
I had Erin Noble, who told me that she did not, in fact, play the clarinet. She just held it.
Beautiful thing
I,
about acting, right? Just being creative, you know?
Yeah, and I really like her. I met her a couple times in Toronto. I not this time because I've been too busy, but Lisa and I met up with her a couple times.
Yes.
I met Neil Clifford in Toronto one year with Lisa, but never had him on the show because I understand I might try him again, but I know
Right.
his position on this film dealing with
Yes.
Mark Lester was not the
Uh-huh.
best.
Got you, got you.
And I've
I
had
wish you
Gordon,
luck there. I wish you
yeah,
luck.
yeah, and I had Gordon Lewis on from Teenage Head, who we sadly don't have anymore, but that was
Whew.
tragic.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Life is precious, you know. We're just here for a fleeting moment.
yeah, absolutely. But I'm so happy to have you on here, as one of Leroy's friends. Talk about that Leroy. Just, he gets you guys in trouble.
He
The
did, he
medicine man
did,
gets you guys in trouble.
he did, he did. I'm telling you, Robert Reese is his name. I mean, Leroy was a natural in that film, because they talk about art imitating life. Well, I mean, that was a clear case of it, right? Because me and Robert and there was a bunch of us that were childhood friends. Matter of fact, Central Tech was a school that I went to, and some of our friends went there as well too, right?
Mhm.
And um, before we did Class of '84, there was another um, so-called film that really influenced us, The Warriors,
Story there. I've had
right?
two of the Warriors on the show. I've had David Harris,
Yes.
and and I'm still in touch with Apache Ramos, who's one of the
Interesting.
orphans. He made me an
Interesting.
honorary orphan. He doesn't have the afro anymore, and I bug
Right?
him about that.
But
If you ever
it's
met, if
it's
you,
a it's what's so amazing. Sorry to cut you there.
yeah,
Um, if you remember the gang, the Baseball Furies,
yeah,
well, the guy who had I think it was the most recognizable of that gang. His name is Jerry Hewitt. God rest
mm-hmm,
his soul. He's no longer with us. He was one of the top stunt coordinator in not just New York but all of the U.S. I worked for him a ton, on like shows like Law and Order, um, just a bunch of other shows. I mean, super super guy, and he would go to conventions as well too. Believe it or not, dressed as one of the Baseball Furies, right?
mm-hmm,
So the reason I brought up the Warriors is, me and my friends. I mean, we emulated those guys, right? We matter of fact, one time we ran the subway tracks in Toronto from Christie Pitt subway station to Bathurst, which is where Central Tech is, thinking
mm-hmm,
that we were the Warriors. Um, and for us, it was just about putting on colors and just we wanted to be popular with the girls. We might get into the odd rumble here and there, right?
mm-hmm.
I might be giving away a little bit too much about my teenage years, but those are some fun, innocent times, right? So, like I said with Robert, it was a natural. We weren't really acting. I mean, this stuff that really came natural to him, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
how I ended up, being on that film. Robert's sister, beautiful. He's got two beautiful sisters, and they were both dead modeling. And so they got casted, I guess, to be in the background in that film. And they got word to Robert that they were looking to cast the character of Leroy. And so Leroy got the part. As I said, he was a natural, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Leroy, what does he do? Well, he calls his buddy and say, "Hey, Roy, we're shooting a movie down at Central Tech. They need a whole bunch of bodies here to be extras to go in the background and all that stuff, right?" And I didn't believe him for a second. Robert is always pranking, pulling jokes, and all that stuff. But I said, "All right, let me come and check it out." So I went down to the school, to the casting, and believe it or not, he was not kidding. And I'm saying, "Oh my God, I've died and gone to heaven. I'm going to be a Hollywood movie star." Little did I know how much work needed to be done, right? So I got one of those walk-on parts. Back in the day, $5 an hour was quite a bit. I mean, that's how much they were paying for background performers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then one day, after a few days working on the show, I saw Robert, going over his script, and I said, "Let me take a look at it." And I saw there was a little line in the script. One of Leroy's buddies say, "Hey, leave my friend Leroy alone," or whatever. And I said to Robert, "I can do that." And he goes, "You sure?" He goes, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." I said, "Yeah, man." So he goes, "I'll tell the director about it." lo and behold, the director calls me into the office, asks me to say the line, and Greg, I got the part.
There you
I got the
go.
part, right? So I
You know,
became, go ahead,
Leroy's buddy.
Leroy's buddy. But in the film, they called me student. That's what the credit was on the at the end of the movie.
I don't think I've seen anybody studying in that
But that was
movie.
beautiful. I mean, that's how it all started, right?
Well, I gotta say, the first year I was in Toronto in 2017, Lisa and I went around to all the locations, and there's a picture of us on Facebook in front of the Central Tech.
Yes,
Yep,
yes.
and we found the house where the teachers lived, and we saw the alley where Michael J. Fox and Aaron Noble were interrogated, but it was gated off, so
Right,
we couldn't really
right.
go in there. Plus, traffic was not the best, so um, and
Greg, you're a fan.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God, I'm impressed.
Well, like I said, this is one of those movies I grew up with, and I remember Teenage Head, hearing their music, Ain't Got No Sense. But of course, my favorite of their songs is Little Boxes, which you
Hmm.
can hear while they're back there um, inspecting this poor woman. You
Yeah,
can,
I
yeah,
like your choice of words.
yeah.
Inspecting.
But you can, I said to Lisa, I said, here we got this naked woman on screen, and yet I am busy listening to the background song, Little Boxes.
Right, right, right.
Nothing like taking
Good.
your mind off a beautiful woman than naked woman than teenage head.
Isn't that something, huh?
Yeah, but nonetheless, I like the look of the film. I liked
Yes.
yeah, and so yeah, I really enjoyed the film, and it's a movie that I'm glad I got a connection with it now, like just having done all these interviews from it. You're my sixth
Yes.
guest from the film, so and I think I got three
Thank you.
signatures. Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
got three signatures on this now. Yours, Lisa's, and Aaron's are all on here. So, and I
I
got a couple.
expect more to come. I expect more
Yeah,
to come.
well, I got a couple autographs in the mail from Stefan Armgrim too, who I'm still in touch
Okay.
with as well.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, he lives in the New
Hard to
York
believe,
area.
Oh,
Yeah.
he does.
Mm hmm
Hard to believe it's been 42 years, Greg. 42 years and counting. Hard to believe
42
that.
years.
Yep.
Where does the time
That's,
go?
I have no idea. I got no idea. But I mean, I look back on the summer of 1981, when we shot that with just really, really fond memories, because that's what really was my platform.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't set the world on fire, no pun intended, right away. But I mean, that was what gave me my little oomph, to want to be in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. It's not easy, but um, in Niagara Falls, I was telling you about Terry Leonard. That's
Yes.
another, legendary Terry Leonard stunt coordinator. People know him from Raiders of the Lost Ark, Romancing the Stone, things like that. But he was a stunt coordinator on that show. And in addition to getting an acting part on there, the word went out that they needed athletic type black guys to be the opposite for Timothy Van Patten's gang. And and when I heard that, I said, "Oh my God, I'm going to get to go up against Salami." Well, Timothy Van Patten played Salami in The White Shadows, one of my favorite shows, right? So I was starstruck. And long story short, I got one of the parts. I got a background in athletics, football, track and field, stuff like that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we had a 7 to 10 day training camp. So Terry was teaching all of us young guys how to throw punches, how to fall off tables, and things like that. And Greg, we got paid for it.
And Lisa didn't get invited to that.
Her stunt was just looking pretty and just mean at the same time.
Well, she was good at
Which,
that.
yeah, she was, right? She was.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you remember the scene, under the Gardner Expressway. I mean, that was like reminiscent of one of those scenes from The Warriors. I'm
Yeah,
very,
the
very
guy
proud.
goes,
I'm
"We're going
very
to
proud
cut
of
you
that.
like meat."
Yes, very proud of that scene. I mean, it's just like seared in the back of my mind, when I think about it. And then another scene that really comes to mind is the Rumble scene in the cafeteria
Hmm.
with Michael J. Fox in one of his first few features. He got stabbed,
Hmm.
and no joke, when I was doing the fight scene with Mr. Knight,
Keith Knight, yep.
Mr. Keith Knight, may he rest in peace,
Hmm.
he actually clocked me for real uh, in our fight scene. Knocked me out for a second or two, but I shook it off and I came back, right? Um, that's just the hazard of the trade sometimes. I mean, they talk about Murphy's Law. No matter how much you prepare for something, something can go wrong,
Hmm.
right? But we just hope and pray that it's not the ultimate when something does go wrong, which I've
Yeah.
witnessed over my long career, doing stunts. But again, sorry to digress, but Terry Leonard, hats off to him. I got along really well with him. He took me and Robert really under his wing. And Terry being a ex, football player in the CFL, he went to the University of Arizona. His good friend was also the head track coach at University of Arizona. And then one day in between the setup, he called his friend and to say, "Listen, I got this kid up here. Say, he can jump 24 feet. You think you may want to have him be part of the Wildcats?" Man, I was so excited. Really, really got along with Terry. Matter of fact, he even sent me and Robert to go pick up his girlfriend at the time at the airport. You may know her name, Sandal Bergman.
Oh, yeah, Conan the Barbarian.
Yes, right. So he sent us to go pick her up at the airport. I mean, what a friggin', excuse my language, what an honor.
What was she like?
Oh my goodness gracious. I was just starstruck, Greg. I was just starstruck. So I was just in the moment, just living in like a parallel reality, right? It couldn't get any better than this. And I'm
Wow.
thinking, I'm thinking that this is how it's going to be for the rest of my life. But boy, what a rude awakening, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Peaks and
Conan the
valleys,
Barbarian came
peaks
out
and
that
valleys.
same, yeah. Conan the Barbarian came out that same summer as Class of 1984.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Um, yeah, Sandal was a dancer, and you just watching her in Conan the Barbarian, you could tell she was a dancer just by the way she moved, and she made it work so well.
And these Hollywood guys, I mean, it doesn't, well, let me not go there, but yeah, they can be
Right.
quite popular with their opposites during the day.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
and Terry was no different. He was definitely a legend, a Hollywood stud.
there you go. Well, if he's dragging under the Jeep there in Raiders of the Lost Ark, he needs to be rewarded well.
Absolutely, 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 absolutely.
Going back under the fight underneath the was it the bridge there?
Yeah, yeah. I think that was the Don Valley.
The
Not the Don,
overpass.
not the Don Valley.
Yeah, overpass. That's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking of.
Gardner Expressway. Gardner Expressway.
Yeah, when I interviewed Stefan Ermgrim, he said that when they did that scene,
Hmm.
he said that it was written that funny you mentioned the Warriors. He mentioned a Clockwork Orange when
Oh.
he was talking about it, but he said that on paper it was just them beating up this other gang, and he thought, let's do something a little different here. So he offered to go down a few times, like when
Hmm.
he calls for Neil Clifford to come and help him out. Stefan said that was his idea to go down and take some shots because he said it just looked ridiculous of them just going through and just mowing this gang over, you know?
Right. And if I recall, I don't think any of those actors used stunt doubles for that Rumble scene. So that was even more impressive.
Hmm.
Terry gave them really, really great directions. And you saw the scene. I mean, it was pretty brutal, right?
Yep, yep. But anyway, that was a great movie. You had Teenage
Hmm.
Head. I mentioned them, and of course Alice Cooper doing that opening song, "We Are the Future," or "I Am the
Yes.
Future," I should say.
Iconic.
Great, yeah, very iconic. And I've never been inside that school. Maybe one day I might make that happen. See if Lisa wants to go inside there at some point. I heard Good Will Hunting was shot in there too, so
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh,
that's what I
good.
heard. Now, whether it's
Okay.
true, I'd have to dive into that a little more. But um, but nonetheless, I love the graffiti all over the wall and
Yes.
like everything about this movie. So
It worked, it worked. It looked like a true American school, no question about that. It worked for, what the production designers were looking for. They were spot
yeah.
on.
One of my favorite scene in the movie has always been Roddy McDowell whenever he's pushed to the edge and he's using a pistol to teach class. That whole scene with him is so good, so good.
One,
And
one of
mhm,
one one of my favorites. One of my favorites.
mhm.
One of my favorites. Couldn't believe I was working with him either.
Any stories about him?
No, no, not really. I mean, just a quiet, nice guy. I can't remember his character from the Planet of the Apes, but every time I spoke to him, I always referred to him by his character name from the Planet of the Apes. He didn't mind that.
Hmm. I liked
He
him
didn't
in this,
mind
and I
it.
loved him in Fright Night as well. It's my favorite vampire film.
Yes.
But yep. And of course, Michael J. Fox, let's face it, let's face it. Had it not been for that gang, he would have
Mhm.
never been able to face that hoverboard gang in Back to the Future too.
There you go. There you go. I think Michael J. Fox did an amazing job on that. Another one of those famous Canadian expats doing it in Hollywood, right?
Yeah, I wish him well. I know he's been struggling with
Yes.
Parkinson's, which
Yes.
is something my mom has right now, so I
Yes.
totally get it. But
Yes.
a total icon from the 80s is
Oh
Michael
my
J.
God.
Fox.
And just an upstanding individual. Um, yeah. What can I say?
Yeah. Um, any other anecdotes that you have to share about class of 1984? I hear a lot of this stuff about Mark Lester. I've heard the stories, I've heard them um not so much like Stefan, I guess, told me originally he was supposed to play Stegman, and they wanted a name, so they got in Timothy Van Patten, but that's how
Mhm.
he got his name on the poster. That was kind of their consolation. Um, but nonetheless, I've heard a lot of negativity about Mark Lester. Now, I
Mhm.
never interviewed the guy, don't know the guy, so but I've heard the stories about how the extras were treated on set. I guess they were treated to peanut butter and jam sandwiches for
I
catering.
I
I
I don't
don't
remember.
know.
I mean, it's 42 years. I don't remember. My
Yeah.
experience was just, as I said, I was just in awe. I didn't have much face time with Mark per se.
Hmm.
I kept to my corner, which was the stunt corner. It
Uh-huh.
was me and Robert and Terry Leonard and Bobby Hannon and the rest of the stunt guys. We kind of kept to ourselves. And you know, yeah, I don't know much of the going on behind the scenes as far as Mark Lester is concerned.
Yeah. I know Lisa, Neil, and
Hmm.
Aaron. Aaron. they were less than enthused about Mark Lester, and but nonetheless, and I've heard different stories from all three, but
Hmm.
nonetheless, Mark went on to have quite the career, Commando, Armed and Dangerous,
Yes.
Firestarter, you
Hmm.
know. Then Class of 1999, which really blows.
Yes.
Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that. No.
Oh, I wish I didn't. It was pretty bad. It was
Well, rewind and pretend you didn't see it.
well, it's funny because when Lisa and I were at Frightmare in the Falls, we ran into Damien Leone, who of course is the
Mhm.
director of Terrifier, the Terrifier films, and he is talking about rebooting Class of 1984.
Oh,
Normally, I'd
really?
be against such an idea, but seeing that the Terrifier films turned out all right, I kind of don't mind seeing what his spin would be,
Right.
But yeah, but
There's no question. I mean, Class of '84. I forgot to mention. I mean, this is one of Roger Ebert's favorite film. I mean, he gave it a pretty good critique.
mhm.
Um, it's an iconic film. There's no question there. I mean, if you love, the films like Blackboard Jungle and The Warriors, then obviously you want to put Class of '84 right up there with those films.
I actually have to this day have not seen Blackboard Jungle. I've seen Rebel Without a Cause. I have not seen Blackboard Jungle. I got to see that. I have
Hmm.
seen The Warriors. I've got it here actually.
Hmm.
And yep. But nonetheless, I love this movie. And was there any outside being punched by Keith Knight, excuse me,
Uh-huh.
accidentally? Any other stunts that you did in this film that were a lot more dangerous?
Well, not me per se, but I mean everything that we did, that Terry taught us, we were able to execute it no problem. But
Hmm.
I had the privilege of seeing some stuff like the car crash down by Young Street there. That was
Hmm.
I believe it was a stuntman named Dave Rigby that drove the car. Just a top-notch veteran stuntman. You know, he's not doing well right now health-wise,
Okay.
but I'm glad to have made his acquaintance, right? And then I can't remember the guy who did the fall off of the flagpole. I
Yep.
thought that was just amazing. They set up a box rig down below, and me being a little idiot, I'm saying to myself, what the hell? How the hell a box is going to protect this guy, right? And through the years, I've employed the same kind of rig to protect my stunt folks. When I've coordinated shows. So my question was answered several years later. But all in all, it was just I learned so much, from that show. Um, so much so that, I've taken what I've learned from Terry and applied it to myself in particular situations in shows where I'm hired as a stuntman or where I'm a stunt coordinator, teaching actors or teaching other stunt folks, how to do it the proper way. It was, what we got from Terry was just priceless. I'm telling you, Greg, it was just absolutely priceless. It just set me off on a nice little tangent to still be doing it, 42 years later.
I was watching your reel, and one thing that stood out to me that you did how did they put it? The longest jump between buildings in Toronto.
Yes, sir.
I
Alive to
couldn't.
talk and still alive to talk about it.
Wow, I couldn't do that. But I gotta say, where was that at in Toronto?
All right. I can say where it is now because the buildings have been demolished. I never used
Oh,
to advertise that before because I didn't want to copycats to go to that location. So the official address is 289 Sorauring Avenue. That's in the west end of Toronto.
hmm.
So what happened was I jumped off of a city-owned building onto private property. So I had to get permission, number one, from City Hall to jump on their building, jump, put the running ramp on their building, and then permission from the owner of the other building to get permission to land. But prior to that, I had to make presentation to city council in Toronto.
Uh-huh.
And what I had to convince them of is that what I was planning to do was humanly possible. And that was funny because I mean, it's never been done before. So I guess I was able to convince them. They gave me permission, but with some pretty strict stipulation. One of them being that I had to take out $3 million worth of insurance. Secondly, I couldn't advertise the stunt, which goes against the whole purpose of wanting to do the stunt in the first place, right? But luckily, I took a page out of Evil Knievel's book, and I called up the press to do a press conference a week before using an assumed name. Hopefully they'll forgive me for that. I think about 8 or 9 radio stations showed up, and the television station showed up to find out what the hell this madman is planning to do. And on the day of the stunt, I had a photographer from National Enquirer was there. And a television station came with their mobile truck, because what they wanted to do, as soon as the stunt was over, they wanted to be able to pipe it out, to their 12 o'clock newscast. And me being a man who studied communications in university, I planned a stunt for 11 a.m. because I wanted to get maximum coverage that day, being on the newscast at 12, 6 o'clock, and 11 o'clock. And I did that, and the story went all the way around the world. And that wasn't a stunt for like a film, it was a self-planned event that I wanted to do to sort of like literally and figuratively give my career a boost, which I hope it did.
I thought it was impressive,
But this is a disclaimer, kids, do not try this at home. Do not try this at home.
Oh, I'm not gonna try it at all.
Thank you. Thank you. 28 feet. That's how far I jump. 8 meter 50.
Oh wow, you know what? They say that's the average length that a reticulated python will grow.
All right, that's a good comparison there.
28 feet. They said the longest recorded was 33.
Interesting. And just to let you know, most Olympic Games, the gold medal distance is roughly around that.
There you
Most
go.
Summer Olympics for long jump on the ground.
Well, I gotta say it was fun to meet you. Lisa, I don't think I'd seen you since the film, so I'm going
42
to take.
years.
I'm
42
gonna.
years.
You were there with Keith David.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember
My good
seeing Keith.
friend.
I love Keith. I've had Roddy Piper's son and daughter on the show. I'm a big Roddy Piper fan.
Hmm.
So, and I found it interesting that John Carpenter cast him um, due to his Piper Pit segments on wrestling. But
Right.
also, if I ever meet John Carpenter, I'm going to ask him a question he may have never been asked before. What was it like being at WrestleMania 3? Especially witnessing that Ricky Steamboat Randy Savage bout, because
Hmm.
he was there, and I'm like, wow, because I don't think that WrestleMania has ever been topped, but he was
Greg,
there where,
you got quite the repertoire there, Greg. You're an aficionado of WWF as well, too,
yeah,
right?
WrestleMania 3 was my first wrestling event that I ever seen because they had the wrestling stickers come out in the chip bags, and the wrestlers were such interesting looking characters. It's like, who are these characters?
Mm-hmm.
But I was quickly drawn to Roddy Piper, and who had, of course, defeated Adrian Adonis at WrestleMania 3 in the hair match. But he was part of course, They Live with Keith David. I remember
Hmm.
I saw
Hmm.
Keith David in the lobby at the hotel because that's where all the guests were staying. And
Hmm.
I went there to meet Lisa and make sure everything with her was taken care of. And I saw Keith David just standing there in the lobby, and I walked over and introduced myself, gave him my card, and I asked him a question. I
Uh-huh.
said, I said, which was scarier, fighting Roddy Piper, dealing
Hmm.
with the Thing, or the sight of Ben Stiller's Johnson zipped up in his pants and there's something about Mary?
And what did he say?
He said, now that you put it that way, the latter.
What a great guy.
He is.
And a
I've got
legend. A
I got a
legend.
lot of his movies here too, Requiem for a
Hmm.
Dream I have here, Platoon, you know. I looked
Well,
on his I looked on his table. I was like, "Where's the Afro pick from? There's something about Mary." He reminded me of Eddie
can't fit
Murphy.
it all. Can't fit it all on there. Can't fit it all on there.
He reminded me of Eddie Murphy, and there's something about Mary. Just like
Hmm.
I'd never seen him do a comedy like that, and he sold it well. Especially when he was
Yes.
so repelled when he saw the image. You don't see it yet, but he backs up onto the toilet, like this, and I'm like, Keith David. I
He can
love
do
it.
comic, he can do comedy, he can do drama. I mean, he's just multi dimensional. And my in my second act, as a filmmaker, I had the pleasure of collaborating with Keith on my latest documentary on Marcus Garvey. So Keith
Hmm.
was my producing partner and also the narrator of the film, and did just a bang up job on there as always. I mean, when I was directing him in the narration session, I had to pinch myself a couple of times, saying to myself, geez, I'm really directing a legend here.
Well,
Could this be really happening?
yeah.
And Keith is saying to me, well, Roy, was that okay? Do you want me to do it again? And I got to pinch myself again. Keith has asked me if it's okay. He's asking for my direction. So he totally made me feel comfortable. Um, you know, it's just, what else can I say? He was very respectful of the position, that him and I was in. Very respectful.
Yeah.
Tip my hat off to him for that.
Well, I remember saying to him, because I'm still in touch with Roddy's daughter,
Hmm.
Ariel, and I said, when are you going to do a sequel to They Live where you fight her?
You never know. You never know.
But nonetheless, and of course, I had to ask him what it was like working with the gorgeous Jennifer Connelly in Requiem for a Dream. You know,
Yes. You know
yeah,
your
but
stuff, Greg. You know your stuff. I'm impressed.
I've got some of his movies here. Yeah. Um, I went and I met him. I got him to sign a picture of him and Roddy. It
Hmm.
was really cool to meet him. And
Yes.
but but when you come over to Lisa, um, I'm going to take it that you were going to make a point of doing that when you discovered that she was going to be at Frightmare. Am I right on that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Number one, Keith was my main reason for coming up there. And
Hmm.
then, you know, uh, icing on the cake, here we are, the beautiful Lisa Langlois was also there. And I'm saying, my God, you know, imagine me and her looking at each other and just saying, 42 years later, not only are we still standing, but we're still actively engaged in something that we love. We're still involved in the film industry. Not just, I mean, we're actively involved. That's
Well,
not easy because a lot of folks over the years have come and gone.
hmm
And I can count a lot of those folks, and whenever I see some of those what I call OGs or old timers, I always celebrate them because Um, we could have fallen by the wayside, but Greg was still here.
You're still
We're still
here.
here. Yeah.
Well, well, Lisa had a tremendous effect on me because had it not been for her, there's a lot of what I'm doing now I wouldn't be doing, And so I owe a lot to her, and I'm willing to do any conventions that she does, if I can get away from work. But
Yes. Yes.
I'm willing to do. I've been trying to get moved up to Toronto, but the way rent
Uh-huh.
is right now, it
Yes.
yeah. But I'd
Yeah.
love to live in
Toronto's
Toronto.
ridiculous. It's a great city, but I mean, it's just ridiculous in terms of the cost of living and things like that. It's just what can I say? I mean, I got a lot of family up there. My mom up there, my sister, my brother. But I'm glad I'm down here. I'm glad I'm down here in the States.
Yeah. Well, it was like I said, it was nice to see you on there, and you got to do the panel with Lisa, which was really cool as well. I love that she invited you up there, and of course, let's not forget the presence of Warren Beatty.
Yes, yes, yes. Agent extraordinaire, my good friend Warren.
I
Uh,
love the name.
don't forget the D, Warren D. Beatty, not to be confused with the other Warren Beatty.
Oh, I totally confused them.
I'll have
I
to tell
said,
Warren that when I talk
oh,
to him.
oh. I was like, oh, you're in Bonnie and Clyde.
Right, right. No, no, but I mean, Lisa was just, um, she was just so welcoming and just embracing, the whole presence. It made me feel, it's just hard to describe how I felt. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The genuine, respect between two artists was felt there in that moment.
Yeah. Oh, that was fun. Do you got any stories from Frightmare in the Falls? Other stories that I'm not privy to, like
I will keep it 100, as they would say. But
well,
it was a very very productive weekend. Very productive weekend.
it was my first
Yeah.
3-day con that I've ever done,
Hmm. Hmm.
So it was exhausting, but there was myself and I guess they had Justin there assisting her as well, and I'm having him on
Yes.
here tonight. So
Fantastic.
yeah,
Fantastic.
but I was very happy to do it and happy to be part of that. I absolutely love Lisa Langlois,
Yes.
and
Beautiful person. She's a beautiful person.
she is. I got to talk a bit about the other guys because I'm going to tell you, like this is from the guy who made Anchorman, and I loved Anchorman, and so I went and saw this, and I didn't know what to expect going into it, and I
Right.
laughed so friggin' hard all through this movie.
That's a
I
great buddy movie. That's a great buddy movie. There's no question there.
I love that. I'm not going to give anything away here,
Right.
but there's a joke at the beginning after a massive action scene.
Hmm.
You get
There
a
was a lot of
joke,
action on that.
yeah, and you got this just streets being torn apart and stuff being blown up, and of course Samuel Jackson and The Rock,
The
Dwayne
Rock. Yeah.
Johnson come out unscathed.
Yes.
And there's a joke in this movie that I will not give away, but I know you know where I'm going here. I was sitting in the theater
Hmm.
and I saw those two guys look at each other and they said, aim for the bushes. And
Don't give it away. Don't give it away.
all I can say was, as dumb as it was, I was believing the absurd.
Hmm. Hmm.
And when the
Hmm.
absurd didn't happen, I was like, of course it didn't happen.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
I
Great. I
laughed
had
so hard at that scene alone, and that's one of many, but I laughed at that.
Great. That's one of my favorite films to work on. We shot, a lot of the action scenes were shot up in Albany, New York,
Hmm.
and did some work in Manhattan, and then some stuff on the stages. But for the most part, my stuff was in Albany. People who know Roy Anderson probably wouldn't recognize me because I was wearing a wig, a Rasta wig, on that show.
You know
It was
what?
fun. Uh,
It was so fun. There's so like I don't know where a lot of this come from. Number one, Will Ferrell playing a complete wuss is always fun to watch. Like I like it when he's
yes.
just sucking up to the like Samuel Jackson say, all the publicity, all the sex, all this we do all for you. And then Will Ferrell's like, and we love you all again or whatever. And he goes, I didn't ask you if I wanted to hear from you, I'd stick my hand up your ass and you work your head as a puppet. I
And most people don't look at Wahlberg as a comedic actor, but I mean he's got great comedic chops. Oh
He
my God.
does.
Oh yeah.
I
Right?
love the dialogue about
Hmm.
the tuna and the lion. And how Will Ferrell wins the argument, and yet Mark Wahlberg is such a sore loser. He pushes coffee onto him.
Yep. And throw Eva Mendes in there, and you got trouble.
Oh, frig! Even I love that whole thing with Will Ferrell talking about his wife being plain.
Yes, yes. And I worked with Eva on another show that she worked with Will Smith. Do you remember a film
Hitch.
called Hitch?
I saw it in the theater.
All right. Do you remember the scene when Will Smith character was hanging on to her mini, and he was hanging on to the top of the roof to the and wouldn't get off,
Absolutely.
and she slammed down the brakes?
That was you, wasn't it?
That was yours truly that went tumbling onto that hard brickstone pavement. That was one of
Did,
my harder hits in my career.
did you lay there still and hope that she give you mouth to mouth?
I was hoping, but it didn't happen.
You know, I enjoyed Hitch. Uh, I saw that in the theater, and
Hmm.
I'm gonna look up some of your credits here because I've got your whole thing up here. Put my
I would
reader.
I would love for you to see this film that I worked on. It's a Showtime film, but you might be able to either rent the DVD or do the download. It's called
Okay,
Jasper, Texas. It's called Jasper, Texas.
Jasper, Texas. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not
Uh,
sure if you're familiar with the whole
I'm not.
story.
I actually do not have TV. I just watch my Blu-rays, but I'm seeing it up here. 2003.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
So I play this gentleman who was dragged to his death in the town of Jasper.
Okay.
Um, I'm not going to tell you anymore, so because I want you to watch it. So I was actually a double threat on that. I was the stunt coordinator on the show, plus I got to play this character, James Bird, in the film,
Okay.
and um, just I learned a lot from that film. I mean, so we're going from the comedic to real drama. That was drama, Jasper. If you get a chance, take a look at that film.
I thought the other guys was drama. I haven't seen Scanners to the new order. I've seen the Cronenberg original. I've interviewed Stephen Lack from that movie, but any stories from that?
Well, let me tell you, I mean, Scanners was shot in Montreal,
Uh-huh.
and I was actually there to do a double high fall. So me on another stuntman, we got shot, and
Mm-hmm.
then we fall, over this 2 or 3 story building, and it it's one of my more hairier high falls because generally when I fall, it's like one somersault or you heel over once. But I was
Uh-huh.
like all over. I was all over the place in Scanners when we fell off of that balcony. Plus, I had a rifle in my hand as well too. So you want to make sure that when you land on the airbag or boxes, that you don't land on the rifle because you're gonna do some damage.
Okay, I'm
So,
gonna throw out a
but we had the
yeah,
presence of mind before we landed in our rig to just toss our rifles aside so we wouldn't land on it.
there you go. I'm going to throw a few titles out to you and you'd give me your thoughts. Spasms.
I don't remember that show.
Okay, you're listed
There are so many shows
uncredited
that I
as
worked on I don't remember, you know.
uh,
Spasm. Oh, yes, yes. It went by another title when I worked on it. It was actually
okay.
called Death Bite. And Bobby Hanna, who assisted Terry Leonard on Class of '84, was the stunt coordinator on that. And they actually were shooting that at the same time as Class of '84. Again, I thought I died and just went to heaven. I'm going to be a stuntman for the rest of my life, but that was not to be. But I was playing an Aborigine uh, in that film, a stunt Aborigine, and loincloth and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the experience that I remember from that show, we're filming at I think the old, at the Toronto Zoo, and at wrap, all this, body paint that we had on, we didn't have the benefit of going into to like a private shower to wash all the stuff off. They open up the hose and showered us on mass, okay?
Mm-hmm.
In the dead of night. It was freezing, right? So I
Yep.
remember that. I remember that. It wasn't fun.
Car 54, where are you?
Car 54, they shot that in Toronto. I did some driving on that. There's not, I work for a stunt coordinator. His name is Bronco Racky. He's one of
Uh-huh.
those guys who he worked on Class of '84 as well too.
Okay. Now I saw Jumanji in the theater.
Oh, that was beautiful, man! What an experience. Shot that up in New Hampshire. Loved it.
Any
Um,
memories of Robin Williams?
oh, I mean, me, I work with so many stars over the years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I normally don't get starstruck, but when you work with somebody like Robin Williams, how can you not get starstruck,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But the funny thing is, when you work with a lot of these like A-list actors, you get to realize that they're just like you and I. Robin will come up to you and say, "Hey, how you doing?
Yep. I've heard
Great
good
day."
things about him.
Absolutely, 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 right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it was fun. It was fun.
Two If by Sea. I saw that in the theater.
That was shot in Newfoundland, of all places. I came to
Oh.
Newfoundland to work on that. Did some driving again for Bronco Racky, stunt coordinator.
Did you meet
I worked on
Sandra
a lot of
Bullock?
projects for him. No, I did not meet
Okay.
Sandra Bullock. No, great actress.
Yeah.
Great actress.
Now this movie
Look,
here is very underrated. The Stupids. So many people hated it. I watched it recently, and I gotta say, I thought it was a lot more clever than people give it credit for. And I think Tom Arnold and
oh my
Jessica
God.
Lundy were both
Right.
funny in it. And I love that Jessica Lundy was allowed to be funny too.
Yes.
I actually didn't mind the Stupids. I'm like I'm kind of on board with it.
And the stunts were funny. The stunts were funny as well, too. I mean, I think I remember one of the gags that I did. I was they call it a jerk when you're jerked back or jerked forward or whatever. I was in a suspender, and so we got jerked, and then we reverberated.
Uh-huh.
Right? I don't know if you remember the scene, but that was one of my memorable scenes from that film. That
Directed
was
by
that was shot
John
in Toronto.
Landis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
John Landis. John Landis. Dangerous
Yeah.
John. Dangerous John.
Yeah, I know where he got that
Dangerous
name.
John. I worked with him again on Blues Brothers 2000.
Yeah, I saw Blues Brothers 2000 in the movies, and it was a hard
It,
watch for me because I was like, I kept thinking, man, I miss John Belushi so much in this, and I
Right.
wish that they were able to get James Belushi to be in that, you know. I
Yes.
know they were working on that, and I wish they made it work out, you know. But
Yes.
I've had three of the Blues Brothers band on the show here, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Great
I'm a
experience, Blues Brothers. I doubled for I can't remember his name right now, but I'll remember his name in a second.
yeah, because I know who you're talking about. He was in Speed, right?
Yes.
Joe Morton.
Joe Morton.
There you
Joe
go.
Morton. Yes. Yes.
Maximum Risk
Maximum Risk, that was Jean-Claude Van Damme.
with the
Yeah.
gorgeous Natasha Henstridge.
Yeah, they shot that in Toronto.
Hmm.
One scene that comes to mind, we're shooting downtown on Yonge Street one day, and one of the more rookie stunt coordinators, sort of stunt man, if you will. Um, where we're doing some scenes, we're dodging cars and all that stuff, and this guy wanted to actually be hit by a car, so he came out dressed like a Michelin man. And the stunt coordinator said to him, "What the heck do you think you're doing? What are you doing? I just want you to dodge the car. I don't want you to go up and over the car." I learned a lesson that day. He gathered us all together, the stunt coordinator, and said, "Listen, it's about the drama. It's not about the stunts." I got that. I got exactly what he was saying.
Hmm.
And and you can apply that to whether it's a car hit or whether somebody's almost getting ready to fall off of a building or getting ready to be stabbed. Just a thought of being killed or being stabbed or being hit by a car. I think it's more effective than the act itself. You can play it out,
Yep.
right?
Yep. I saw this one in the theater, The Long Kiss Goodnight, and all I can I as much as people talk about Gina Davis, I just remember the one-liners Samuel L. Jackson was throwing out in that movie, like saying he hadn't been laid since Pop was a nickel.
Right. And I'll
I
tell you
remember.
I mean, of most of the films that I work on, that's one of the films where my friends recognize me because they see this guy in this long leather jacket and shotgun, coming to shoot up the train station.
Hmm.
Can't miss me in that one there.
Yeah. And going back to comedy, Booty Call.
I think Jamie Foxx would rather forget about that movie.
Oh, jeevers. I thought it was actually one of the first comedies I ever seen about safe sex, people looking for
Right?
condoms. I'm kind of
Right?
like, I kind of dig the premise.
Oh my God. Vivica Fox and Tamala Jones was just a hoot when discussing all that stuff. But I doubled for Jamie Foxx on that. That was my first of a few times that I had a chance to double for him and work for him.
Uh-huh.
That was great. Booty
He,
Call, 1996.
yeah, he didn't enjoy that, did he not?
Well, I mean, I think he enjoyed it, but I mean, looking now over the course of his career and some of these major projects that he's worked on, that's maybe one he may want to, forget.
Let's not let him forget it.
Okay, Greg.
Let
All right.
let let's call for a booty call reunion.
All right. I'm for that.
You've done a lot of movies with Samuel L. Jackson. Any
I have,
stories?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've always got along great with him whenever I work with him. And the funny thing is, Sam recognizes me.
Hmm.
A lot of times these stars will work with people on different shows and all that stuff, and it just tells you how much these stars they really appreciate you. I mean, they're not just paying attention to their lines and all that stuff, but paying attention to the personnel that's around them. And I think that's what kind of like leads to a lot of them their longevity. Someone like a Sam Jackson,
Hmm.
just good people person.
You also were in the 2004 Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, yeah. Don't really remember too much about that.
What about New York Moment? New York Minute with the Olsen
New York,
twins.
New York Minute. So I got a chance to work on the Toronto and the New York end of things.
Uh-huh.
So the funny thing is, um, why a lot of production love to come up to Toronto is because when you hire the actors, as Warren Beatty was trying to explain at up in Niagara Falls,
Mm-hmm.
the the contracted actors, you're bought out. What I mean by that is, actors, Canadian actors under the union up there, like let's say the daily rate is $100 and you're working on an American feature, so you'll get 130% buyout. So at the end of that, you get $230 and you don't see another penny because you're bought out for 4 years. Now, when does the movie make most of its money? In the initial run, right?
Yep.
So I got residuals on New York Minute before I saw another penny from New York Minute from my work in Toronto. Because of my work in New York, I was able to get residuals on it for my work over here.
You've got a tremendous amount of credits on here. There's so many I could ask you about. I got a couple more I'm going to ask you about. Spider-Man 2, which I thought was terrific.
Yes, thank you. I really, I mean, and that was one of the main reasons why I decided to just up and move from Toronto to New York because I wanted to work. I mean, I was working a ton when I was in Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted to work on big, big budget films, blockbusters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say that no regrets. I've had the chance to realize those dreams, being here in the States, working on, Spider-Man, Born Ultimatum, those kind of shows. I mean, it's been a great run. We're not
And
finished yet, but it's, been a great run.
and you worked again with Will Smith with Hancock. I saw that in the theater.
Yes, yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, sir.
Yep. And of course, The Wolf of Wall Street. I saw that in the theater. Fell in love with Margot Robbie. Whew.
Yes, yeah. That was I remember that show specifically because what's our lead actor name? I mean, I'm
Leonardo DiCaprio.
all right. So Leonardo DiCaprio was method all the way. I think in real life, Leonardo and his driver didn't really talk to each other. So even though I'm Leonardo's limousine driver, he never said a word to me until we wrapped, until the show wrapped. He
Mm-hmm.
never said a word to me. You would think that he hated my guts, right?
Uh-huh.
But I think in real life they never really got along, him and his driver. So he played it to a T. He played it to a T. And one thing I love about Martin Scorsese is if you love overtime, you're going to get it on the Martin Scorsese show. He'll do take 11, take 12, take 13, take 14. And I'm just saying, let it roll, baby. Let it roll. I don't mind the overtime.
Mm-hmm. I asked Ted White this question. I'll ask you the same question. What's the most dangerous stunt you've ever done?
I would have to say it's the car turnover in Shaft that I did in 1999. And the reason why I say that is the car turnover was done in the Brooklyn Navy Yard, right beside a dry dock. You know what a dry dock is?
Yeah.
All right. So when they scouted the dry dock prior to me doing the stunt, it was filled with water, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the depth of that dry dock is more than 100 feet, maybe 150 feet.
Mm-hmm.
On the day that we're going to do this, the gag, there's no water in the dry dock.
Oh, wow.
I'm driving my car pretty close to that to the edge of that dry dock, right? So when I hit the brakes and I push the button for the cannon to turn the car over, you better you better turn the wheels the proper direction. Because if you turn it the wrong way, You know what's going to happen? I'm going to the bottom. Thank God, it was executed properly. I was able to walk out unscathed and here to talk about it, right?
I don't think I could do that, but but
And to top it all off, and I will never do this again, I did the car turnover without a helmet.
wow.
Just, because of the way that the roll cage was built, I wasn't comfortable in the way that I sat in the vehicle. And with the helmet on, my head was kind of hunched over like this, and I wouldn't be able to see while I was driving. So the stunt coordinator, who shall remain nameless, but it's easy to find out and search who it was, he said, if you don't do it, then I'll do it, or I'll put somebody else in the car to do it. Right?
Wow.
Okay.
That sounds to
So,
me like a lot of care.
well, you said it, not me, right? But
Hmm.
I believe in God, and I had enough confidence in my ability to be able to just tuck my chin as the car was being turned over a bunch of times, and just relax when it came to a stop.
I believe in God too.
Right?
Yep. Yep.
So, what a lot of these guys do when they're doing car turnovers, like, they'll put contact information on their suits or on their helmet, that God forbid if something happens, you could contact the person who's on your suit or your helmet to let them know that that person didn't make it. Luckily, they didn't have to call my wife that night.
I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad
All
they
right?
didn't. So
Yeah,
you're still working strong. I know with this striking situation, there's stuff you can't talk about, but
right.
just on a surface level, do you got projects coming up?
Well, I have to tell you, I was fortunate enough to work on a couple of projects during the strike because
Mm-hmm.
they were on what's called an interim agreement.
Mm-hmm.
So if a company, had signed an interim agreement, then they got to go ahead to shoot while the strike was going on. So I was able to work on that. One of those projects was the Dutchman.
Okay.
I don't really know too much about it, but I just got hired in to go and play a couple of characters doing some driving.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also got a chance to go down to Jamaica and just add my expertise to a photo shoot that was happening down there, and that worked out pretty well as well. And if my wife was here, she would actually say, "Roy, keep your mouth shut." So all I'm going to say is,
That's okay. Yep.
me and a partner in Toronto were in development on a television pilot, and it's going to be a crime drama, international crime drama. And this one is going to have a lot of eyeballs on it. It involves crime and politics.
Ah, they seem to mix.
Okay, so
Okay.
I'm not gonna say anything more.
That's fine by me.
It involves several countries, and one of those countries are in the Caribbean.
Out of all the places you've traveled, do you have a favorite?
My most favorite location was Monte Carlo. I can't believe it that they flew me halfway around the world to go work on a commercial. Okay, a cologne for the singer Usher,
There you go.
right? So I was doubling him,
Okay.
driving in the windy roads in the south of France and all that stuff. That was great, and of course, um, working with our man, um, no longer with us, the Five Bloods, Chadwick Boseman.
Oh, yes, right. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah,
lost him way too young.
yes, yes. So I was there for a couple of months. Um, he was there for just a few weeks. Um, And I remember there was some scenes that we were rehearsing, the gunplay in the jungle and all that stuff. And if he didn't say anything, you wouldn't know that he was ill. He was just, and sometimes it got to 100 degrees. It was hot. It was just unbearable. And he was doing everything that we were doing, running to the bushes, firing out the guns, doing his thing, go back to his dressing room, relax. Nobody knew what was going on. I
Yeah.
appreciate him so much for that. Um, just a dedication to the craft, right?
Mhm.
That from him and that I've seen from so many other folks over the years. I mean, this it's serious business. I mean, we don't take it for granted, the position that we're in. We do not take it for granted and don't take it lightly.
I had Lisa Hoyle on here, who's a stunt woman, and I asked her, I asked her who her favorite person to double for was, and her
Hmm.
answer was Christina Applegate. She
Oh,
loved
really?
Christina Applegate. Yeah, loved Christina Applegate. She was on screen during the trapeze scene in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and I'm still in touch
Right.
with Lisa Hoyle. Love that woman. Who
Nice.
is your favorite person you've ever doubled for? If you had a chance to double for anybody, again, who would it be?
That's a that's a tough question. That's a tough question. But I would have to say that before answering that question, the funniest moment that I've ever had as a stunt double was doing a driving gag for Ray Charles. Did you hear me? A
Yep,
driving gag for Ray Charles
Ray Charles.
in that iconic Canadian show Super Dave Osborne,
Oh, love Super Dave.
right? So Super Dave was playing a trick on Ray Charles. They because he was basing everything by memory of when he last visited Super Dave's house. So he thought he was parking in the garage, but this time they played a trick on him. He was now parking in the living room. So he crashed. He crashed. I think it was a Rolls Royce that I was driving. I crashed it into the bedroom. That was pretty funny. But
That's hilarious.
loved my working with Will Smith and Denzel Washington. Loved working with that, and
Hmm.
um, and then of course just had a great time working with him Dublin for Jonathan Majors in Defy Bloods, right? I've Greg, I've pretty much doubled for them all, short and small, right? James Earl Jones I've doubled for,
Love him. Yep.
right? Robert Townsend I've doubled. The there's a guy, his name is Michael J. White. He's a martial arts
Yep.
guy. I've doubled for him,
Yep.
right? Um, just there's just so many, but it's been a wonderful, wonderful run. It's been an amazing run.
Well, you know what would make it even more amazing? If we could somehow, and I think Jamie Foxx would be totally open for this, if we did a
Don't say
sequel,
it. Don't say it.
we
Don't say
need to
it.
do a sequel to Booty Call. I think
Put it out there.
we need to do a sequel to Booty Call 2
Put it
with
out there.
Jamie Foxx. Yeah, I think that needs to happen. What do you
Maybe,
think?
maybe you call Vivica first and see what she says. Maybe she could convince him.
Well, she was in Kill Bill, so she'd have no problem. I know he was Django, but
Right, right.
I don't know.
Well, you know people who know people, so let's get it going.
I think so. I think Booty Call Part 2 and pitch that. I bet you Jamie Foxx down deep would just he'd break away from the Spielberg project to go do that.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I'm sure his buddy Tommy Davidson wouldn't have a problem. But no,
Oh,
this has been great. It's been a real honor, and just to just chew the fat and just reminisce. I don't get a chance to. open up like this too often, and it's nice moment to exhale. So I got to thank you for that,
Well, you
really,
know what? It
and
was.
Lisa as well too.
I was gonna say this was an honor, and I'll tell you what. Next year, I'll put you on the roster. I got to have you back on because we only touched the surface on some of the stuff that you've done. You know, because you've got a long list, and hopefully by next year, you know, Booty Call 2 will be in production, and
Let me know. Let me
I
know.
don't. I've never met Jamie Foxx, but I would love to see him on a red carpet or something like that and say, "Tell me, how's Booty Call 2 coming?"
Let me tell you something. Like I said, talk to Vivica first.
Vivica C. Fox wants you to do Booty Call 2.
There you go. There you go. There you go. And then get Tommy to gang up on him.
I loved Jamie Foxx and Horrible Bosses. I thought he was so funny in that, you know. He
He's got
played
quite the range. He's got
Dean
quite the
Dean
range.
Jones.
Yeah, he's got quite the range. Quite the range.
He called it a Disney ass name.
Hmm. Hmm.
Anyway, Roy, it was such an honor having you come on here. Before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Absolutely. Let me know what you want me to say.
State your name and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
My name's Roy T. Anderson, and you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Absolutely. And do you have a web page or any charities you want to plug on here before we close off?
I don't have a personal web page, but I'd like to push my latest documentary.
Hmm.
On it's called African Redemption: The Life and Legacy of Marcus Garvey, and so the website is marcusgarveythemovie.com.
Okay. Absolutely.
marcusgarveythemovie.com.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I hope to see you at another con. This has been great, and I was a real treat to meet you at Frightmare in the Falls, and Lisa and I were still talking about you as we left Niagara Falls. So
All right.
that
Looking
was
forward to seeing you
awesome.
guys again.
Oh, I hope that will happen. I hope that'll happen.
All
God
right.
bless you, and keep the faith, and you have yourself a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. We'll see you in Jersey next year.
Absolutely. You take
All
care.
right. All right.
Bye bye.